The proposed 2024 budget of the Department of Transportation and its attached agencies is now called to order. I would like to thank and acknowledge our resource persons, just right on time, our secretary who's here present today. We can begin this even without the other senators present because we've had a quorum. This is just a continuation. So before we continue the discussion, may I ask the secretary to read into the record again representatives who will defend their budget. Please, when your name is called, please raise your hands. And
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have Secretary Jaime Bautista, Undersecretary Kim Robert De Leon, Undersecretary Timothy John Batan, Undersecretary Roberto Cecilio Lim, Undersecretary Elmer Francisco Sarmiento, Undersecretary Cesar Chavez, Undersecretary Rainier Paul Liebra, Philippine Coast Guard Commandant Artemio Abu, Maritime Industry Authority Administrator Hernani Fabia, Ports Authority General Manager J. Daniel, Manila International Airport Authority OIC Ryan Anderson Co., Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines Director General Manuel Antonio Tamayo, Manila Cebu International Airport Authority General Manager and CEO Neri Jr., Civil Aeronautics Board Executive Director Carmelo Arcilla, Light Rail Transit Authority Administrator, Deputy Administrator Ed Villamo, Jeremy Regino, National Railways General Manager, Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board Chairperson, Attorney Teofilo Guadis, Toll Regulatory Board Executive Director Alvin Caruso, Deputy Administrator for Operations of Marina Nanette Dinopo, Land Transportation Office Financial Division Chief Arivic Lopez, and Deputy Administrator LTO Jones Jr. I missed anyone?
thank you to our secretariat. Just before I begin, can you give me an update? Ano ba nangyari doon sa airport security sa screener? Meron ng initial investigation. Sabi niya, tsokolate yung ano na ba yung nangyari?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. I am Asek Jose Ebriones Jr., the Deputy Administrator. Foremost, ma'am, investigated case. Initially, that was the cover-up or the alibi of, but subsequent footages caught up at the it appears that what she had followed was dollar bill. They are being after they undergo background in scholastic
Requirements.
In fact, most are college graduate. Some are even, but some are, but all of them are covered as the background in.
Ay naayon sa kanilang magiging
Yes, ma'am, we will do, ma'am. And then additionally, ma'am, we do also national agent clearance. Uh, uh, similar agencies. There are about 5 agencies that they have to comply and submit. One that follow the dollar. In fact, this is the first time I have experienced that somebody, a screening officer, because, probably, ma'am, if I may add, because we have instituted initiative changes, remove the packets of their unit, not have packets already. In fact, wearing of jackets and also, that's maybe I deem it proper to just swallow the evidence. With the legal service, in fact, handling the case, she is prevented suspended, right? Pending the result of director of the legal office for trial.
having better CCTV coverage now. This was also done during her predecessor's time. Remember when? So continue that. It's a good investment. High resolution CCTV, well placed in areas of airport, especially when it comes to matters of screening, etc. So nasa na yung kaso sa legal? Ano na ang pending?
In a month's time, ma'am, the result will be
Things will not. Hindi lang sila nakakapagpahinga sa sa bansa natin. Sabihin niyo tayong malambot ang puso natin pagdating dun sa mga pamilya natin. Baka yon ang makakapagpigil sa kanila na gumawa ng kalokohan. So I will wait for your submission on the decision of the legal investigation. Hopefully before we deliberate on the budget of the DOD in plenary. Sir, Kyle Bautista, would you like to add on the matter?
Since July of 2022, now, we have already terminated 19 employees. Were caught stealing or getting something from the baggages of our passengers.
19 po ang nahuli since July. Oh, hindi lang ito na nangyayari sa Pilipinas, nangyayari ito sa ibang bansa. Kaya nakikita natin kung gaano kasensitibo na talagang mapapagkatiwala. But I'm glad that you were able to catch them. And
Yes,
are there cases against them now?
yes, ma'am. Actually, we have investigated 60 cases, 19. The last one, four employees are involved. Not only, yes, ma'am. We're just finalizing the report of legal, no? But we have suspended.
So apat pala sila, ano, nagkantahan lahat. Kadamayan. Kasi nakita natin dalawang babae, di ba? So, lahat ba babae? Dalawang. So, you said 19 were already their position terminated. And then how many were investigated?
More than 60 cases. Some are minor. Some
So, since July.
No.
Thank you for the update, Mr. Secretary. I'd like to ask also, because Mr. Brian Coy is also trying his best to run the airport. But what happened to the case of Mr. Chom?
Mr. Chong was missed by bill with the court.
So it's still pending. And what was the case? Because apparently he let go of a lot of employees, right?
Actually, ma'am, reorganized department of transport. Body was fired. They
Imagine
reassignment.
for reorganizing, there's a case against him. But I find that from the time we had the discussions with him, some of the reforms that he said he would was actually able to. This case will be heard. Big shoes to fill. Trying your best. But sa airport kasi, hit or miss. Minsan, mabilis ang processing. Minsan, mabagal, depending on the number. But the restrooms, again, have to be really maintained properly. Pag dyan, ayusin nyo. Kasi yun ang basis ng maraming pinupuntahan ng mga airports eh. Paano ba yung restrooms niyo kung maayos? I mean, it seems like a trivial matter, but it's reflective of how we are able to maintain our facilities. So, Mr. Ko, ha?
Yes, ma'am. Take note, we already have rehab programs for a lot, especially the old ones. And apart from the rehabilitation, we will be adding more para maiwasan yung ibang pila sa toilets. But take note, the daily upkeep, like a solution right now. We reinforce yung, we have to make sure na malinis lagi, it's dry, and the supplies are always there.
Because that's a signal that says we are ready for tourists. Be embarrassed. And sana sa budget, meron ba kayong line doon? It's like restrooms in the airport.
Yes, ma'am. For rooms as well as the rehabilitation.
Thank you. Let's go to more technical matters. So the MRT 3 maintenance and operations recently received an unsolicited offer from MPIC together with Sumitomo for the takeover of the operations and maintenance of the MRT 3. This is not the first time MPIC submitted a takeover proposal. In 2011, they submitted one worth $523 million, but was rejected. So, what is the status of it now?
confirm that last August, the DOTR solicited proposal from Metro Pacific together with Sumitomo Corporation. So that is August 23. We note, Madam Chair, that there is currently an original proponent status that was granted to San Miguel for an unsolicited proposal for MRT3 as well, that it submitted on July of 2021, and the OPS was granted in May of 2022. Currently po, Chair, we are solicited PPP for both the MRT3 and LRT2. So if you would note po, there are now three. There is a solicited PPP that is developed for MRT3. There is an unsolicited proposal from San Miguel where an OPS was granted in May 2020. And there is an unsolicited proposal from Metro Pacific and Sumitomo Corporation that we received August 29 of this year.
So, tatlo-tatlo yan. Ba't pa kayo humingi ng solicited? Because you're going to dictating your own terms, ganun ba yon? Ano ba yung gusto ninyo?
Chair, for the MRT3, the current direction is to bundle it as PP together LRT2. The reason being, LRT2 has historically been unable to generate revenues sufficient to sustain its operations, while MRT3 is more profitable.
Yes, yes.
So the thinking po is that by bundling MRT3, the higher cash flows of MRT3 sustainably support the operations of. So we are able to.
Sino ba nagmamanage ng LRT2 ngayon? LRTA. So it's not it's subsidy. So nobody is interested in LRT.
Is under the office of the secretary. Transportation is just a PMO. It's not a GOCC. It's not even a government. It's just a unit under the transportation. On the other hand, line 2 is under the LRTA authority. At the moment, at present, LRTA owns line 1 and line 2. Earlier, Sec TJ was actually forming this committee. The current policy of this administration is to combine a good cake and not so good cake. Good cake being MRT3, reach and ridership and commercial development potentials, while LRT line 2 is, in terms of subsidy, we are subsidizing around 80% of every passenger in LRT. 80%. MRT3, 75% lang. Still, both lines is being subsidized by government. What we don't want to happen is what happened to line 1 and line 2 in the past, where option taken by the private sector was the good cake, LRT line 1. Ngayon po, ang gusto po sana natin, whoever's interested in MRT3 must also co-share burden sharing, profit sharing for LRT. Kaya gusto po sana natin na i-bundle na yung dalawa. Whoever's interested in MRT3, sinasabi namin, good. Halimbawa ho, ang potential ng MRT3 is as high as 800,000 passenger. Umaabot na po kami ngayon ng nasa 450,000. Pandemic ko, umaabot yan. Bago matapos ang pandemic, 8 million. Ngayon po ay umaabot na 10 million a month passengers ho. In other words, it has been tried and tested that MRT3 is a good cake. Therefore, sinasabi namin sa private sector, tingnan nyo rin ang sapagkat ang overall, the bigger picture is that ng gobyerno privatize ang maintenance and operation. And therefore, wag lang yung pipili. That's the context po.
I understand that. That's a bargaining position also for the government. Naman get rid, but be able to help an well, not ailing, but less lucrative line. But then, meron, baka naman, what's your time frame para tapos na itong solicited proposal ninyo? Nagawa na ba ninyo yung terms and conditions?
Chair, we are working po with the ADB as well as the IFC for the bundled LRT2 and LRT3 PPP project. If we look at po, we compare the timeline that we went through for the NAIA solicited PPP project, it took us po from February to August, so that's around 6 months po, for us to from feasibility study to publication currently going. So for LRT2 and MRT3, we have started discussing po with ADB and IFC. They've done some preliminary work po, but we're just sorting out po a budget issue with the DBM for their engagement. But the time frame po, 6 months from October. So October po, again, if we compare it lang po as reference, the NAIA PPP process, from October of 2023, we are programming po to start the project development, 32 and MRT. And if we are able to achieve the same timeline for NAIA, should be able publish po the terms of reference and start the procurement by the end of first quarter, or if not within the second quarter.
Kasi, and what do we expect to see once we grant this? What are they willing to do? Capital outlay.
Yes po, especially for LRT2, Madam Chair. For LRT2, we will be needing or we are expecting substantial capital outlay to put in. Unlike MRT3, because in MRT3 po, we've recently put in a lot of government investments in the rehabilitation. So that is one of the reasons po why we are balancing the two. We are not expecting as much capital outlay, and it has a higher cash flow because of higher ridership. Are expecting po higher cash flow and lower capital outlay will result in ability to cross-subsidize the requirement.
So, as Sec Chavez mentioned, there's a capacity of ship per day for the MRT3. So, how many now are we?
1,000 a day, ma'am. Two things. One, PLT, Sobrepenia Group B, expired July 2025. Therefore, rehabilitation with the maintenance in the operation, maintenance in the operation agreement, should be decided, should be completed next 12 months, in the next 12 months. Substantial decisions has to be made. It's the concession arrangement be ready at least one time. Pero po, on a larger context, just to provide another a larger context, Sec TJ mentioned of the it's a solicited or it is a government policy of AOTR policy. So we're thinking that what applies to NAIA should be applied here. Solicited because and the whole sets mas magandang solicited sa MRT3. So yun po ang context. So,
Pag ikaw yung gumagawa ng mas paborables, and okay lang yon kasi taong bayan ng so dapat ganon. Pero just things that I feel should just remind you. Number one is to act with expediency, di ba? Di man all good intentions but no action. Well, to nothing anyway, right? Number two, make sure that when you're bargaining, you always have that it's above board. The government will not be on the losing end. And that once you grant contract to a particular company, wala bawian yun. So if we see that it's disadvantageous to the government, kayo ang mananagot. Kasi kayo ang nakipag-negosasyon para sa taong bayan. Diba? But this is what I really don't, sometimes it's happening in the government. Granted to someone, either that company or that is not capable. And you already granted the contract. Or else you change the goalposts in the middle of it. It's not very enticing for potential investors. So, pwede ba bilisan ninyo ng konti? Susulat ninyo ng mga gusto nyo. Anyway, after running this, Sec Chavez, I'm sure you know this at the back of your hand already. What's advantageous? Okay. Spend the na. Then. Okay. Kasi lang uulitin din to sa plenary eh. At na itong mga tinatanong. Okay. So, on the jeepney fare hike, naglundag ako kasi based on priority. The LTFRB already confirmed that there will be additional jeepney fare increase for the year ends, but it is still consulting with masipag sa Senado, lagot tayo. Whether the increase will be 1 peso or 50 centavos. So what's the update on this fare increase?
Mr. Chair, may I answer? During one increase in the gasoline, express my desire to run the provision of 1 peso. In the cost of fuel is already substantial. Submitting to the time to come. So, your own opinion is our decision on whether to grant additional increase or not, and two, if grant one, to determine additional increase. Madam Chair, may I reiterate that this is only a additional increase. This is different from the case that the jeepney owners and operators are asking from 2 pesos to 4 pesos. Pantawid lang muna nila such time as we are able to rate of Mr. Chair.
Sige po, please educate us. Do you need an approval from NEDA before you can grant this provisional increase?
Mr. Chair, but the inputs from the to determine its effect on the.
I understand that, and that's being prudent. Pero sa bagal ng NEDA, by the time ibigay ninyo yung 1 peso provisional increase, baka ang kailangan na ninyo for 5 pesos talaga. No, I'm just saying. So you really have to, because they have so many backlog. Senator Gatchalian knows this. Maraming bottlenecks sa NEDA. This is very important. Siyempre, ayaw natin taasan ng presyo ng pamasahe, pero mga drivers natin, baka hindi na po sada pag gano'n ng sitwasyon. Ano na nangyari dun sa fuel subsidy?
Mr. Chair, I'm glad. Madam Chair, for the disbursed 417,006,000 for subsidy. 23% utilization for the last, Mr. Chair. What we're waiting for right now are the list from the DIG, city, physical drivers, and for the for the delivery drivers. But as for LTF, almost half matatapos ho namin. Sorry, it's 42% utilization. So by the end of next week, 65% done. Jeepney drivers and operators, as well as for the bus operators and Miss Madam Chair.
I'm glad I asked that. That's good news that led to completing the distribution, at least for public utilities like the jeeps. Ano yung action ng DICT? Sila magbibigay?
Chair for the ICT po, we these things from them, yung mga deliveries, because these are not the EFRB.
May subsidy din sila?
Yes, Madam Chair.
How much are they getting?
Getting 1,000 subsidy, and for the tricycle drivers, 1,500.
And for the for the jeeps, how much are they getting?
The jeeps, for the modernized jeeps, that would be 10,000. Modes of transportation, 6,500.
And this is a one-time assistance, right?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that the ICT has a hand in this because the utilization rate is very small, very low, sorry. So let check with them. Um, Another question with LTFRB, ASEC Guadis. I attended a forum recently, and it was mentioned in that forum that drivers, and I guess other TNS drivers, have to give a deposit. No, not a deposit, but they have to show several requirements, like having a bank account with at least 30,000 pesos in deposits, and many other requirements that I feel might be a little restrictive, especially this is an area where we provide employment that are probably not quickly absorbed in the formal economy. Could you please tell us what requirements you ask of a TNS driver?
Yes, Madam Chair. I answered that question because yesterday I had a meeting also with Grab. The ones that they were mentioning were the requirements prior to my ascension as the chairman. Pag-assume ko po, half of the requirements were like number one, yung requirement that you have to get the consent of the bank. The car is mortgage, tinanggal ko. That is between the bank and the number two, yung requirement po ng bank deposit. I'm not, but practically we simplified it. In fact, we are almost through with 10,000 slots that we are right now, and it's selling like hotcakes, so to speak, Madam Chair. Yung mga slots, and mabilis po ang pag my time because I simplify. Chair, the country manager of Grab not have properly explained, but those were the requirements before I came in, Madam Chair.
If what you're saying will actually be the feedback I received, that's also very good news, and I feel that we can work harmoniously together finally with the LTFRB, Senate, because you seem to be very proactive, sir. Thank you very will help a lot of people. For us, it's quite hopeful for us to know that as an administrator that has your mindset, make it simpler, submit to us the new requirements that you have for these drivers.
Of course, Madam Chair, we will.
Senator Win? Anyway, thank you, sir. Senator Win, maybe you can continue with your questions. I was just filling the gaps.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Very much. I've asked a few questions during the last hearing. I just want to finish early on. We start off with the Philippine Coast Guard. First of all, I salute our Philippine Coast Guard, despite the challenges, obstacles, and of course, support in terms of financial support that can allocate, because financial constraints, the Philippine Coast Guard is doing its best to protect our shores, like our fishermen. Laki pong Coast Guard personnel. Ang gusto ko lang humalaman, sir, is right now, ilan po ang barko ho natin? How many ships do we have right now? And if you are given a wish list, building up capacity, deeply and sufficiently protect our shores, ilan pong barko ang kakailanganin? Magkano ho yun? Na ilan po ang ating current barko natin? Paano po yung wish?
Ang hapon po, sir. Hapon po sa ating. Sir, for the as regards to the number of assets currently have enough. We have 28. When I say capital ships, are commissioned vessels authorized to fly the Philippine national flag. Ang mga commanding officer po noon ay mga opisyal. And aside from that 28 capital ships, we have more than 500 small boats. Yung limited lang po yung capability. Hindi sila nakakarating sa malayo. They cannot even be deployed to the West Philippine Sea. So yun po yung status ng inventory natin ng assets. Now,
Sa laki po ng ating bansa, 28 po ang umiikot sa buong Pilipinas. Meaning from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. From the Philippine Rice, or formerly known as Benham Rice, to the West Philippine Sea, to the southern portion, the Sulu Sea, 28 lang po ang umiikot.
totoo po yan, Madam Chair. Kaya po ang mahalaga sa amin talaga ay yung how to manage and how to strategically deploy our assets.
Assume, sir, na meron rin pong maintenance, di ba? Some of these vessels undergo maintenance. So not all 28 actually go out to patrol. At any given time po, ilan po sa 28 po ang nagpapatrol?
That is correct, Madam Chair. May downtime po tayong tinatawag sa ating mga barko. Hindi po not all at the same time are on operational status. So at times, allowed po the most that we can have is 80% operational. So that means yung 20% undergoing repair and maintenance.
Kung meron may wish list po, ano po yung mga wish list ho natin? At na compute ho natin, have we computed how much do we need to improve our capability, and what type of equipment do we need? Just ano lang ho, no, yung just a wish list in overview. No, I know marami ho yan. Just maybe the top 3 most important or the top 5 most important and the peso equivalent. No? So that we will also have an idea on what type of appropriations do we need to allocate the Philippine Coast Guard, maybe not in 1 year or maybe in the next few years, so that we will have that idea.
Yes, sir. Yes, Madam Chair. That is what we are looking forward to. Mag-increase yung number of floating assets ng Coast Guard. Right now, we have 15 regional offices. Now, if we will be assigning at least 2 vessels per regional offices, that means we need 30 capital ships, 30 bigger ships for each regional offices, or we call it regional districts or districts command of the Coast Guard. So one vessel will cost roughly about a little over 2 billion per vessel. Yan po estimate, very rough estimate. I'm not so certain about the figure. Pero kung bibili po tayo ng asset natin na malayong marating, 2 billion will be a very modest estimate for that.
How much do we, in total po, magkano ang kailangan? So 2 billion times 15, tama ba?
2 billion times 30.
Times 30.
2 billion, Madam Chair, is a very conservative estimate.
Ano lang, ballpark
It may,
figure.
3 billion, yes, according to our, yeah.
About 3 billion.
3
more or
billion
less.
per unit.
Okay, so 3 billion times ilang kailangan?
30.
30. So 90, tama ba? 80 billion, more or less. No? Just to achieve that um, um, that respectable or that most efficient capability.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Senator Win, before
Yeah, go
you
ahead,
proceed,
Papa.
I would like to acknowledge the presence of Senator General Bato de la Rosa and also Senator Tolentino, General Reserve. Parang paramihan ng title dito, ako na lang yata yun. And also, I would like to point out that General Abu, you're set to retire on October 19.
That is correct, Madam Chair. Barely 3 weeks from now, I'll be retiring from the service.
Paano na yan, di ba?
Madam Chair, if I may, kahit na magraras ako ngayon ng Coast Guard Modernization Bill, isama ko na doon yung adjustment ng edad ninyo, retirement age nyo to 57. Hindi ka na rin mahabol, no? Hindi na
Yes, sir.
kaya? Hanggang malabo na? 57? kasi ang PNP is going toward that direction. After the AP, the PNP, then maybe the Coast Guard will do the same. Gawin natin 57 kasi babata pa ninyo eh. Ako nga, 61 years old ako, pero still, feeling ko I can still fight with the people in the West Philippine Sea. Kaya ko pang lumaban doon, pero 61 ako. 57 siguro, gawin natin. Pero,
Yes, sir.
56 kayo, di ba?
56
O,
po.
56. So pareho lang sa PNP na ngayon.
Dapat sa Senado. Pero
Bilisan natin yan para mahabol ka pa. Di na kaya.
With the permission of Senator Gadget,
Go ahead, go ahead.
related to this, of course, we have to commend Admiral Abu. If there is going to be a next vessel, it should be called BRP Abu. For all the things that you've done, may we know, and can you furnish this committee copies of areas where for purposes of cost efficiency, Coast Guard has collocated with Navy. I know for one, perhaps in Bayat. I know for one other area, some may be confidential. Is this we can ask the secretary later, is this a trend because of our lack of sufficient funds, or is it because of the interoperability, the different missions of the Philippine Navy and Coast Guard? Aside from the sharing of information, are there locations which you think should be pursued, that collocation should be made?
Madam Chair, yes, I will appreciate it more if the Coast Guard will be given the chance to be collocated with the Navy in terms of berthing, availability of berthing facilities. As of now, I cannot remember any. Wala po sir na malakihan because ng Coast Guard ay nagdadak sa berthing areas ng Navy.
It is possible.
That is a welcome development. That is possible, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Wala.
Senator Tolentino?
Kaya ko po nabanggit yan is because of there are areas that would perhaps accommodate both institutions. I'm referring to an area in Bicol, somewhere in the north, and in Palawan, for purposes of cost efficiency can be done. So siguro po kung mabibigyan nyo kami ng karagdagan datos, kasi itong pag sinabi nyong 30 vessels, hindi lang naman vessels yan. Kailangan yung gasolina niyan, kailangan yung parking niyan, kailangan yung personnel niyan, and so on and so forth. I just talked to the Korean ambassador visited me this morning. I think 2 vessels will be coming next year. Coast Guard ba yan, Navy?
Ang usapan po doon ay is it like not a second class, a second hand, but of course Guard, yeah, Coast Guard, Coast Guard.
Yes, Senator Toledo. Just, we just arrived from the budget hearing of DFA together with Senator Tolentino. At tinanong namin yung DFA Secretary regarding doon sa Baho de Masinloc na nilagay nila na harang. At apparently may report na kayo na tinanggal na ninyo yung harang na yun. Yung wall na yun.
Mr. Chair, if I may elucidate the body about that issue. That
Please,
took-
please,
yes, sir. That
go
took
ahead.
place sometime last 22 September. That was Friday. Nandun po yung barko ng Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, BRP Datu Bancao. Mayroon pong on board doon na Coast Guard personnel. And among this is a bit confidential, but among the Filipino fishing bangkas operating in the area, meron din po tayong special ops. So may kasama tayong mga tropa natin. So na-discover po natin na mayroong about 300 meter long floating barrier na naka-install doon sa bukana kung saan yun ang access ng mga mangingisda papunta sa loob ng lagoon. So having in mind that it is the instruction of our President for us, for our government, especially the Coast Guard and the Armed Forces of the Philippines, to support and defend our fishermen venturing at sea, especially at Baho de Masinloc. So free dive, sir, inalis ng kinat ng tao natin. We have videos on that. Kinat po nila yung barrier. Pag nakat mo naman yan, madadrag na yun ma-open na. So to give access to our fishermen, yun po ang nangyari doon, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Kung meron kayong report dyan, paki-submit dito sa committee para we would like to commend the Coast Guard for doing that. Dahil nga, pagdating sa kanila mga aggressive actions na sa West Philippines, itong mga Chinese, wala tayong magawa. Puro lang tayo diplomatic protest. We are sick and tired of all these diplomatic protest na ginagawa natin na hindi naman nila pinapakinggan. So sabi ng taong bayan, tayo puro lang salita, wala sa gawa. It's very good na ginawa ng Coast Guard, inaksyonan, pinutol. And we would like to commend Coast Guard for doing that. Thank you. In behalf of our Filipino fishermen, thank you at may pinutol. Sana ninakaw na rin ninyo yung kuha na yun. Hinila ninyo, kinarga ninyo sa evidence. Ebidensya, di ba? Gawin natin ebidensya yon kung magpapile tayo ng protest laban sa kanila, nakuha ninyo yung floating barrier na yon, nirecover sana ninyo.
Mr. Chair, pinutol po natin, then let it go. Pero as for purposes of taking some evidence for that particular activity, kinuha po natin yung sinker. May anchor po tayo na kinuha, yung anchor nila.
Kahit picture na lang, okay na. It will suffice. Picture.
Meron
Pinicturean
po, may
ninyo.
video,
Kompleto.
kompleto pa tayo. May
Video.
videos and photos.
Very good. Very good. Yun namang nakipaghabulan sa, nakita sa video na may nakipaghabulan ng yung Chinese Coast Guard. Yung maliit na fisherman natin, out-maneuver niya palagi yung malaking bangka ng China. Ano yun? Atin yun. May video nakikita ko yun. Sinishare ng BIFAR ba yun? BIFAR ang gumawa.
Yes, sir. Nandun po yung tropa natin sakay sa vessel ng BIFAR sa Baho de Masinloc.
Pero yung maliit na nakipaghabulan, talagang mangingisda yun. Mangingisda.
Yes, sir. Nangyayari din po talaga yun, sir.
Dahil mabuti na tumatapang yung ating mga mangingisda. Di ba? It's very good. Nakita na yung Coast Guard, complain ng complain. Ingay ng ingay about sa ginagawa ng China. Ang Senado, very vocal dahil dyan. So ang ating mga ordinaryong mamamayan, naramdaman nila na galit na yung buong bansa, sila tumatapang na rin. Nakipag-dangerous maneuver na rin sila doon sa mga malaking bangka ng Coast Guard. That's very good. Huwag tayong magpapabuli palagi dyan sa kanila. Madam Chair, pinag-usapan namin yung ginawa na pagputol doon sa floating barrier. It's very commendable act by our people, by our Coast Guard. So we would like to commend them for doing that. Immediate action, that's what we need. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I heard that you released a statement that you weren't going to do so without the direction from the president. So the president directed you.
Yes, Madam Chair. That is in
That's-
coordination with the National Task Force, West Philippine Sea.
Oo,
Yes.
tamang-tama. Oo. Thank you.
Madam Chair, and Admiral Abu, just submit to us a wish list. And then if you have a strategic plan, let's say a strategic build-up plan or a capability plan, just share with the committee, and we'll try our best, obviously, to fulfill that equipment build-up and capability build-up. Maybe not in 1 year, but magtutulungan ho tayo so we can achieve it at one point.
Madam Chair, simultaneous po yung capability build-up na nasa isip namin. We're after not only about the modernization of our assets, but also increasing the population of the Coast Guard. And that's what we're doing. We have been requesting, and we're happy that our requests were granted in the past, additional 4,000 personnel of the Coast Guard per year. And of course, we are requesting for the development of Coast Guard bases. But unfortunately, for this ensuing fiscal year, none was approved, nothing was approved for the installation of bases of the Coast Guard in critical identified strategic areas in our country wherein we will be able to put up our own Coast Guard facilities, in particular, berthing of our assets. Kung atin pong bibigyan ng magandang comparison, para po yung we keep on buying brand new cars, very expensive cars, pero wala naman po tayong parking area. So kailangan po ay talagang simultaneous po yan, Madam Chair, na kailangan natin magkaroon tayo ng pondo in establishing Coast Guard bases, recruiting person of the Coast Guard, and of course, acquiring assets and facilities for our own people, especially offices. If I may just put forward the issue in this forum, Madam Chair, sa totoo po niyan, ang Coast Guard ay wala pa kaming national headquarters na amin. Napakaliit po ng headquarters namin dyan sa port areas. It is not reflective of what the Coast Guard is doing right now. What the Coast Guard is contributing to our country right now. So kasama po yan sa request namin na sana ay mabigyan ng tugon ng pagkakataon na magkaroon kami ng isang area na matatawag namin na national headquarters ng Philippine Coast Guard.
We'll call that
Sama sir.
Himpilang Pangnasyonal Artemio Abu. When you retire. Madam Chair, can I ask? With the permission of
Yes, go ahead.
but not
Chair, if I can just a few more
Maybe, yeah,
questions and then I can.
let's finish up with Senator Sherwin, and then I think next is General Bato, right? Pero we can have Senator Tolentino. Go ahead.
I'll jump to another topic, Madam Chair, and this is on the topic of the interoperability of toll roads. I hope TRB is here. And this was discussed, I remember during one hearing by this committee and headed by our good Madam Chairman. It was disclosed to us that there's already a plan to interoperate all the different toll roads in our country. There's one in south, there's one in the north, and there's also one further up in Clark and also in Tarlac. So I just want to get some updates from TRB on the interoperability project, and when can we see this? Because I use the toll road virtually every single day. So any one from, go ahead, sir.
I'm Attorney Alvin Carullo, Executive Director of the Toll Regulatory Board. As to the updates on the interoperability project, Madam Chair, we already implemented. Actually, this is composed of 3 phases: phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So we are now in phase 3, meaning we are going to have one wallet and one RFID. So we already are we will conduct the what they call user acceptance test sometime in December of this year, and hopefully we can implement the interoperability project on the at least June 2024.
By June 2024, we'll see full interoperability of all the toll roads. How many toll roads are we trying to interconnect?
We have many toll roads. Actually, there are
How
only
many systems are we trying to interoperate?
actually there are only at the very most we have two, the MPTC group and the San Miguel Corporation group.
Tiplex is using a different system, diba? Or is it the same as
The same,
Telex?
yeah, it's under the MPTC group.
Okay.
So they will interoperate the MPTC and San Miguel group. They will adopt a common wallet and one RFID. And we will implement that according to our recent timeline in June 2024, Madam Chair.
So in June 2024, there'll be a single wallet for the two different highway systems.
Yes, Madam Chair.
So meaning us from the north, we can use the toll roads in the south without getting a separate e-wallet.
So you will use just one wallet, Madam Chair.
So that's by June 2024.
Yes, sir.
That's good to hear. Another issue, this came out during the hearing on toll roads at time, is the lack of service matrix, meaning or service measurements. Meaning, I remember at that time during the hearing, how do we measure if the toll roads are giving us the best service? Like, for example, I remember a few months ago during the heavy rain in NLEX, part of NLEX got stuck in floodwaters, and a lot of the motorists there took hours, probably 4 or 5 hours for a normal 1 hour trip. So these operators need to invest in infrastructure, technology, as it, also in traffic, efficient traffic schemes. But how do we measure them? Is there? I remember that time there's no clear measurement on efficiency. So have we implemented that to date?
Actually, Madam Chair, in toll roads, we are adopting the LOS or the level of service standard of the Department of Public Works and Highways. So they have levels A, B, C, D, E, F. So if the toll road is already at D or E levels, they need to submit to us measures how to solve the apparent traffic already in the tollways. So right now, as you mentioned, the NLEX side, they are now proposing to TRB the third tranche of the widening of NLEX because really it appears that the level of service is not that good anymore. So we adopt the level of service standard of the DPWH, sir.
There is a measurement to determine efficiency and service.
Yes, sir. Because DPWH is a member of TRB, so as a member agency, we adopt the
So
standard.
how are they faring? The highways are they faring good, bad?
Most of our highways right now are close to not good.
Close to
Even SLEX, if you will
Kasi kami sa Valenzuela, from Balintawak to Valenzuela is semi-good. Sometimes, no? But there are times weekends lang man, no? Weekends when high volume, they go home. But typically, we're okay. But I think after I think Marilao interchange, that's where the problem comes in.
Yeah.
No? So that you mentioned that they're not faring well. So are there penalties being imposed? What is the sanction? Because this is what's lacking. I remember that time, no? Because the toll roads operate like, of course, they will grade themselves very good all the time, no? High level of service. But what's the regulator? What is the grade of the regulator, and what penalties do you impose?
Actually, sir, we are now drafting the KPIs or the key performance indicators for operation and maintenance. Unfortunately, through the years, the TRB was not able to come up with the said KPIs. So now we are drafting it so that it can be implemented and so that we can penalize the tollways. And also, it will go hand in hand with the approval of toll rates. So if they are not having good service to the Filipino people, hopefully it can be factored in the granting of the toll rates.
Please submit to us. That's good to hear that we have KPIs already. Before there was none. You're absolutely correct, and it's good to hear that things are moving already with the TRB. Last year it was or last time was there's a lot of gaps, and the toll road operator seems to be just doing their own thing. No? So it's good that we have the KPIs, and just submit to us, no? Some updates on that KPIs, and when do you see full implementation of these KPIs?
We will do, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. But when do you see the full implementation of the
We
KPIs?
are based on our program of projects. We can implement that second part of next year, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Upon approval by the board, of course.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that update. Just submit to us the pertinent documents.
We will
Uh,
do, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I'll leap to another topic, no, because DOTR is obviously a very diverse department with managing different modes of transportation and different programs. So I'll jump to the POV modernization program, which I support. We really need to modernize, make it convenient, and make it comfortable to the riding public. And from the briefers that I saw, the compliance rate right now, correct me if I'm wrong, is only at 60%. And the allocation for the modernization program for 2024 is at zero. No, so in other words, we compelled them to modernize, but we don't have any support to be given in the next few years. So I just want to be enlightened and updated on the PUV modernization program, and how do we proceed with complete modernization of our jeepneys?
Who will answer that? Is that Secretary? Who is going to answer that?
I will answer, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Right now, one of the components of the PUB modernization program that we're implementing is the consolidation, the industry consolidation. No? We want the operators to join a cooperative or a corporation so that they can operate more efficiently. No? We have set a deadline of December 31 for all the operators and jeepney drivers to consolidate into a corporation or a cooperative. No? Right now, we are almost 60 or 70% consolidated. The deadline has been deferred 4 times, no? But this time we want to stick to the deadline of December 31. No? That's the first component of consolidation of the modernization. No? Another component is the preparation of LTPRP, or the local public transport route plan. No? We're working closely with the local government to develop this route plan. No? Because it's important that LTFRB will work with the local government so that they can issue the right franchises and licenses to jeepney and bus operators. No? So that's one component. I think we have already worked with many government agencies, local government agencies, but still LTFRB is continuously working with them. No? Another component of the PUB modernization program is the actual modernization of the fleet. No? We need to modernize almost 200,000 jeepneys, buses, no, taxis. No? But right now, we have only around almost 7,000 units modernized. No? And we need some subsidy. We have to encourage the operators to replace the old ones. No? But because of some financial issues, only few are able to replace the old ones. No? Because what we want is that the new ones that will be operated should comply with what we call the Philippine National Standard. No? So we have set the Philippine National Standard. There are already jeepney operators that are operating this. They have borrowed money from Land Bank and DBP. No? And we continue to give them an equity subsidy. No? That's why I think one support that we need for next year is to continue giving that equity subsidy. So that we can help them replace the old units that they operate. And we are proposing, since we were given zero for 2024, we are requesting that we be given at least 1.6 billion pesos for this program, Mr. Chair.
Senator Win?
Mr. Chair, if I may add, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'm
Yes, yes, go ahead.
I'm Andy Ortega po. I'm with the Office of the Transportation Cooperatives. Just to add lang po dun sa sinabi ni Secretary Bautista regarding the consolidation. The past few months po, marami ng mga LGUs, no, from the mayors to the governors, lumalapit po sa amin. They want us to go to their different places para po ma-educate namin further yung mga transportation groups, no, to join the modernization through either corporation or cooperatives, no. They are very excited. In fact, meron na po kaming plano for the next 2 months, 3 months. We'll be traveling to all the regions po as much as possible sa kaya ng budget namin, no? To further reach out to these groups na hindi pa po sumasali based on your information, Mr. Chair, para sumama po sa modernization. So definitely po the program is a go. Definitely po tuloy-tuloy po kami up to the deadline as stated by Secretary Bautista, which is December 31. So when the transport groups nga po narinig yung about the budget, so medyo they are worried, but they will be helping po, reaching out to everybody po para makatulong po for us to have this budget to further the modernization po of our transportation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think well, personally, no, from my experience and from my research, the transport cooperatives is the step to the right direction. I remember when hindi na natin siya kasama, no, si Chairman B.F. Fernando organized a BRT trip to Colombia. The trip is about looking at their bus rapid transit. But one of the most striking things that I learned is meron din silang they call it minibus, no? It's not really jeep, no? But marami silang minibus. And they organized it in a cooperative to own the bus rapid transit. So the point there is it's to buy a cooperative, no? So no one was displaced. The drivers were trained to handle bus rapid transit. The cooperatives had ownership in the bus rapid transit. The bus rapid transit, actually, the buses are owned by different cooperatives. So the point being there is they were modernized, no, through cooperatives. So I think it's a step in the right direction. that we are modernizing through the cooperatives. No? And that's why when I saw that there's no allocation, what will happen to the 40%? I understand there are 40% remaining. But more so, I understand also, Mr. Secretary, that the cost of the modern Jeep has now increased. Is no, from based on my information, and the subsidy has not increased. No, so how much now is a modern Jeep? And is there a move to, because there are two components, no, the loan and also the subsidy. So are we also increasing the subsidy in order to cope up with the increase in the modern Jeep prices? So what is now the strategy in order to reach 100% modernization? Because I support that, no, and I really want to help the department in achieving its goal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to answer your question regarding sa subsidy of vehicles po, it is true that the modern vehicles po has increased since a few years ago, no? Pero also,
Which is it now?
between 2.4 to 2.8, no? But also, I have this information dahil marami na pong interesado to go into this manufacturing of modern vehicles. There are some that are sticking to the lower end, lower part, which is 2.4, no? Hopefully, hindi na sila umangat doon. But I see now certain manufacturers sticking to that price. So that's a good news. That's good news. Regarding sa equity subsidy po, just to update, no? Pero we will be having a formal announcement, no? Yung sa equity subsidy, we've been discussing with the DOTR family and we've decided, no, to increase the equity subsidy, but the formal information will be released soon po. So the amount that we are aware will be changed po to a better amount, higher amount po para mas makatulong tayo dun sa mga sabi natin na magmo-modernize. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Binitin mo pa kami. Kala ko may announcement na. But it will be increased. Right now, how much is it right now? 30?
The subsidy is 200, is it 210,000. But we're working on a higher subsidy, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Just submit to us an amount that you will require. I heard the secretary, the 1.6 billion. Just submit to us a breakdown of that, and also a plan on how to achieve the 100% modernization program. No? Again, maybe not immediately, but at least there's a plan that we can look at and help the department to achieve it. No? Yeah. And
We'll submit.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Lastly, Mr. Secretary, I think this is the talk of the day, and I understand that the chairperson asked this already on the topic of that OTS person, no, yung transport security na kinakain niya yata yung pera, no. I understand that it's under investigation right now, but we all know, General Bato knows this. This is nothing new. No? In fact, the most shocking OTS story is that Laglag Bala incident. No? And along the way, there were also other OTS problem and modus. So my point of the matter is, the OTS is supposed to protect us from criminals, from terrorists, possible flight injury or possible flight accidents. But these people who are hired to protect us are the one creating chaos and also national embarrassment to the country. So once and for all, how do we solve this? Is this an issue of salary, an issue of quality? How do we solve this? Because nakakayawa talaga, Secretary. No? And I thought masosolve na ito nung talagang binugbog ni former President Duterte. No? But now it seems like it's coming back again. No? So how do we once and for all solve this issue?
There are many points that we can consider, Mr. Chair. One is really make them regular employees, no? Because right now, most of the screeners are contract of service or job order. No? So they don't have security of tenure. No? they are receiving very low salaries. So I think we need to make them regular employees. No? We give them training. No? We vet the qualifications of these people. No? Unfortunately, there are some bad eggs. No? But I think we really need to hire the right people. No? We need to give them the right training. No? But one aspect that we can consider also is that we can transfer the responsibility to the operator. No? For example, in Cebu, the screeners are hired by not the OTS but by the Cebu authorities, Mactan Cebu International Airport Authority. No? So this will be addressed separately, Madam Chair. So we also need to see to it that we really hire the right people. No?
But, maybe, parang, di ba sir, yung the creation of OTS is by virtue of
An executive.
ICAO requirements, right?
Mm,
ICAO requirements, International
Civil
Civil
Aviation
Aviation
Organization.
Organization. So kung hindi tayo nila ma-accredit dahil we are not following their standards by creating OTS, kaya nga nagawa yung OTS na yan. Dahil na-require tayo nila na magano. Kung hindi tayo i-accredit dito, then maybe yung mga international flights ay pwedeng hindi tayo pupuntahan dito na international flights. So, kung ilipat natin yan sa management ng airport, baka we will be creating another problem as far as ICAO standard is concerned.
Actually, sir, it's the hiring that and the employment, no? But the operations will be regulated by OTS. No? So
Okay, good.
they will be the regulator rather than operator. No?
I thought kasi tanggalin sila doon sa local.
And, yeah.
Yung nga, sir, alam mo, immediate siguro, no? Dahil because of the national, massive, sobrang kahihiyan na natanggap natin ngayon, no? Sa international, nakikita na yun. Grabe ang Pilipino pala, kumakain na ng pera dahil sa, I don't know. Siguro, immediate na pwedeng gawin dyan, sir, no? Kasi mahirap pa yun, yung gusto nating i-regularize sila para magkaroon ng malaking sweldo. But still, I don't believe it's the correct solution. Dahil nga ang PNP, daming involved sa droga noon, daming nangungurap na pulis, dinoble ni President Duterte yung sweldo. Times 2. Pagkatapos, from drug lord protector, ang PNP na tuloy naging drug lord. Isang tuniladang shabu ng hinahawakan nila. So, just to illustrate, may example na remuneration or whatever is not really the ultimate solution. Siguro yung vetting, sir. Kahit na, alam mo, kahit na napakababa ang sweldo, kahit na hindi sila regular, contractual lang, pero kung i-vet nyo na properly yan, marami pa rin nag-apply. Siguruhin lang natin dahil kaya aabot natin sa punto na sabi nila, para walang corruption dyan, tanggalan ng drawers para walang malagyan ng ninanakaw. Tapos maya-maya, meron pa rin. Pinasa sa bulsa. Tahiin lahat ng bulsa. Wala nang bulsa dapat dito. So wala na matagwa ng pera. Ngayon, kinain ng pera. Tahiin ang bibig para wala nang magkapagnakaw. Kakahiya naman yung ganun. Siguro yung betting talaga, sir, the OTS people, malaking respeto ko dito dahil mga classmate ko ito sa PMA. Yung mga General Plascan, General Briones, matataas yung integrity, pero they were there before you assume, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
We are not blaming you. Bok. They were there already before you assume. So, yun lang. Sana yung betting lang natin ay siguruhin natin na matinong tao yung nakukuha natin kahit na mababa ang sweldo. Yun lang, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
General, si General Aplasca, ba kailan siya na-appoint dyan?
Last year po, Your Honor.
Oh, kasi may statement siya na he believes may sindicato.
Yes, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, if I may be permitted to read there is a write-up made by Yusek Aplaska during his incumbency, because he is on leave right now. If I may be permitted to read the money.
Yes, please.
Okay, good afternoon once again. Statement of the recent call for resignation of the OTS Administrator. Office for Transportation Security Administrator under Secretary Mao Aplaska was surprised with the comment of House Speaker Congressman Martin Romualdez. Have done nothing wrong but to cleanse our office with corrupt officials. Why I am now being attacked for going after corrupt officials? I think it should be the other way around. The corrupt officials should instead be asked to resign. The case involving stealing of $300 bill is still being resolved. Mauna pa nawala yung mga nag-iimbestiga. There must be something wrong somewhere, said Yusek Aplaska. As of today, during the term of Yusek Aplaska, the OTS has investigated 68 administrative cases for violation of various disciplinary administrative policies. From these cases, 11 personnel have already been dismissed. It was determined during the strategic planning last year that the problem of OTS is systematic and cultural, which calls for both short-term and long-term initiatives. When he joined OTS in July 2022, the personnel were not receiving their salaries for 2 to 3 months, and he was able to solve it. Then he discovered anomalies in the recruitment where applicants were asked to shell out 20,000 pesos each to get accepted. This was exposed by Senator Rapi Tulfo. He corrected these dysfunctions and dismissed those who are responsible. He also uncovered irregularity in the promotion and placement, where he also removed personnel in the administrative division profiting from the scheme. Training programs will also enhance to also cover values informations and moral recovery programs. Reward and punishment programs will be also implemented to equally recognize exemplary conduct of honest and hardworking personnel. As of today, the OTS have recognized at least 115 honest personnel for returning left behind properties and money ranging from few hundreds of pesos to millions. For long-term initiatives, we have filed proposed bills in Congress and Senate passage of a law creating OTS as a more stable organization. Request for enhancement of salary grade of personnel is also now being deliberated in the Department of Budget and Management as a priority initiative. This internal cleansing program, which has 3 dimensions: preventive, restorative, and punitive. Yusek Aplaska concluded his statement by saying that, as a leader, I am taking full responsibility for what OTS does and fails to do. I will discuss the matter with Secretary Bautista and the President. However, I will not allow anyone to humiliate and allow any wrong information to thrive because of how unjust it is to the good men and women of OTS who tirelessly dedicate their hard work to serve the public every day. I stand against the public humiliation for the sake of my family, who in my more than 40 years serving the country is hurting now more than ever. Such insensitive, malicious, and personal attacks. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that, sir. Sir, out of just on, I just want to ask a very basic question. Very basic question. How much is the salary of an OTS of personnel?
Most of our
How much is the
screeners
salary?
during the rank of SG4.
More or less lang, more or less.
SG4, they are receiving about 8,000 per
8,000 pesos a month.
no every 15 days.
Every 15 days.
Yes.
So 16,000 a month.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then how are they recruited? Are they recruited through an agency? Are they directly hired?
No, they apply and then they undergo interviews. As I have said earlier, they undergo background checks. They undergo under national agency check, and most of them are college graduates. Some
But
are
they're
eligible.
directly hired. They're not
Ye-
through an agency.
Yes, sir.
Senator Win, yung kasama bang kwan, yung neuropsychiatric test sa requirement?
Meron din pa. Kasama rin po.
Earlier in the hearing, I already asked ASEC Briones to give me a copy
Yes, sir.
of those requirements as well as the profile of that person and persons
Yes,
involved in the last incident.
We will comply with that.
You know, while of course there's always command responsibility. So General Aplaska is setting an example that he's voluntarily taken a leave, but it's good that we continue the investigation so that we know who really is involved. As mentioned, he just took over a year ago, but some of these employees have been there since since like years ago, correct? And this individual involved has been there since 2016. And General Aplaska was only appointed last year, correct? Okay. Senator Win, actually, you've already exceeded your time. But before I give the floor to General Bato, I will want to ask you later on about the Cebu Mactan, because this one is really close to my heart because this went through our committee at that time. It was approved, and now I know there's a switch in management, diba? How did that happen? There are cases being filed apparently. So, sige, so General, can I tackle this first?
Madam Chair, just to quickly close, I'll await for the report from OTS. And but I totally agree with General Bato, Senator Bato, that we really need to be very strict with the vetting and the hiring of these people. It doesn't spark confidence among us, riding public. As senators, we take the commercial plane very often, and other than that, we are also tourists that come here, visitors that come here from another country. Doesn't really inspire them to come to our country, seeing all of these things happening in our airport and from people who are supposed to protect us, the riding public. So I would like to again encourage and call on the department to look at the hiring process. And we will work with you. We will help you financially on how to improve the welfare of these employees. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Two things, the Cebu Mactan, and then I'd like to know also the rehabilitation of NAIA, who are the applicants, and when are you going to come up with a decision? So Cebu Mactan, give me a background. So it used to be, or at least from my knowledge, it was Megawide and GMR. Okay. From how they were running the airport, at least my experience, it was efficient. Ngayon, pinalitan na. Hindi na, is Megawide still an owner or?
Through the chair. Yes, Your Honor. There was a transaction that occurred last year. It was Aboitiz who purchased 25% of the company that's operating Mactan Cebu. So the balance of the 75% remains with GMR and Megawide.
But is it true na may mga arrest na nangyari, meron pang mga na-mugshot na empleyado ng GMR? Totoo ba yan?
We have not received that information, Madam Chairman.
So is GMR still helping run the airport?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oo, kasi sa Public Service Act, pwede na to ha. Especially if a law is enacted as a corrective measure. That is retroactive. Retroactive yun. So if ever may mga questions daw ng anti-dummy law at that time, but GMR is still involved.
Yes, Your Honor. We
Is-
understand that the anti-dummy law was raised against GMR in the past.
But not anymore. Nothing pending.
We understand that because of the amendment to the Public Service Act, which allows now 100% ownership of airports, this issue would have become moot and academic.
Is Andrew still
Andrew is an advisor. There is a new GM, Mr. Atanasios, that is who has been designated to lead in the operation.
who is he connected with? Aboitis or
He's connected with Aboitis, but he is an independent. He used to run Cyprus and airport. So he
Mr.
was
Anastasios? No, I'm just curious because why was there a change in leadership if let's say 5% lang yung ownership ng Aboitis tapos galing sa kanila? That's why I want to know if there was a change in ownership at the airport.
It's just 25% was bought by Aboitis Group.
25%.
Yes.
Akala ko 5%.
But the basic management structure remains the same, with Aboitis having the proportionate representation in the board and other representatives in the management structure of GMR.
Kasi ang dinig ko may natakot dahil sa umalis from GMR.
Mr. Harris has assumed a regional responsibility for GMR, but he regularly comes
Ay, still
to Cebu.
so fake news
Eh,
or
yes.
I just want to verify because I don't want na may
Mr.
mga
Mr. Andrew,
threats.
yes, Mr. Andrew.
Mr. Andrew. Yeah. Okay. How about for the NAIA rehabilitation? Sino po ba yung mga kino-consider natin na the ones that are bidding for it or who submitted the proposal?
There are 5 groups that bought the bidding documents, Madam Chair.
May I ask who they are?
The first one that bought the document is GMR.
Okay.
Second is San Miguel.
Okay.
Third is the consortium, Manila International Airport Consortium.
Okay.
Fourth is a company called Sparkle 888.
Sparkle?
Sparkle 888. Spark.
Kasi Sparkle sa GMA 7 Sparkle.
Spark 888 management. No? And
Spark.
then the fifth one is the Asian Airport Consortium.
Okay, sino tong Spark 888?
Ma'am, ang information namin, this is a fund. It's a management company. We don't know yet the details of the company. It's
So
just what
sometimes when they qualify, but we don't really know them, that's what's scary.
yes, ma'am. But part of the process is really knowing who are these people and
Okay.
their partners.
And
are.
when are you, so you just gave the bidding documents, but they
They
haven't,
they
huh?
bought the bidding.
They
document.
bought. They bought. Kasi baka tayo
Because we're
humingi ng
selling it like
Magkano yung bidding
50,000,
document?
no?
I'm just curious.
$50,000, no?
Ay, wag na lang.
$50,000, no? Yes.
Okay, so
Yung
50,
sixth, ma'am, yung number 6 is the Istanbul group, no? IGA group, no?
ano po? Ay,
From Turkey,
third,
the operator of Istanbul Airport.
okay. Good. At least maraming interesado, no?
Yes, ma'am.
When are you going to, so they bought the bidding documents. When are they supposed to submit it?
The last day of submission is December 27, 2023.
Wow. So, and when are you going to decide?
Maybe a month after, ma'am.
Talaga, ha? Sige, papalikan po.
2024.
Natatawa si Yusek Chavez. Ang dami kasi, ang dami ng mga i-award natin ganito tapos ilang taon na yung nakalipas, wala pa rin eh. Pero hopefully under your leadership, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
As I mentioned, the start when you were being considered for approval in the CI said, maayos lang yung airport, malaking bagay na sa legacy ninyo as secretary. maayos ang MRT or LRT, malaking bagay na yan. Yun nga yung maganda sa DOTR, mabagal man ang gestation period, but if you make decisions so that it can already move forward, that's still something that you have contributed greatly to our countrymen. Okay, si General ba to ba? Magtatanong ka? Ikaw? Oh, di, sana. Well, I think baka biglang may mag-sneak in. No, I mean, this is not to railroad this hearing, but I think we've already asked quite a bit. And I think we're the only committee na dalawang hearing, di ba? TESDA. Oh, so pagka yung Tugigaraw incident before I close. Nandito ba siya, yung manager ng airport? Okay. Yes, Miss Agorsor, Tugigaraw.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Oo, kasi may nagpadala sa akin ng picture. I don't know if you're aware of this. Merong Heroes Lounge sa airport ninyo. Nandun si Colonel siya pero Colonel Kerubin and companions or other retired generals weren't accorded the courtesy of using that Heroes pa man din. Hindi balik kung VIP lang, no? Ano nangyari doon? Tapos, well, without judging based on the picture, pero mukhang Pinoy ba yung mga nandun? Parang hindi man lang eh. Answer me, please.
Madam Chair, first of all, Tuguegarao Airport and all the other airports are following the availment of our VIP launch for may specific na guidelines and procedures for that. And then my staff followed that procedure because on that day, last Saturday, September 23, 2023, Colonel Kerubin and the escorts came to the office and then asked for the availment of the launch. And then the escorts were entertained by our staff. She is Miss Grace Tangilan and she is here. And then they were informed that the launch is already reserved and in use because we have that policy that first come, first serve. That is also in accordance with our revised fees
Okay,
and
sino yung
charges.
mga nandun? VIP ba talaga sila? Based on what?
They reserve the Bamperla of the CESA, reserve it for her guests, and the guests were Chinese. Okay?
Okay.
Because, Madam Chair, in the airport, we have encountered different guests, Americans, Japanese, Koreans, and even different nationalities. It's common to us. And every time they avail of the VIP launch, we have to follow the protocols.
Okay,
Which
so
we are-
bale Ceza ang nag-request.
No, it's Ma'am Perla. Ma'am
Si-
Perla only. Ma'am Perla is just a person.
Who is she?
She is the Assistant Secretary of CESA.
Okay, Assistant Secretary of CESA. On what basis? Ano ba yung guidelines niyo for a VIP?
VIP launch is for not that very special persons, but anybody who want to avail, who wants to have privacy, and who wants to pay, and they will pay for a certain 500 per hour plus the VAT.
Okay.
Okay.
Kasi
And then
okay.
And then for the government officers or for our stakeholders, that's for free. Okay, but for the private persons, we are charging them for 500 per hour plus.
Okay, si Miss Perla, wala naman siya dito, ano?
Not.
I would like her.
He's not here.
Okay, Secretariat, get the details of si Miss Perla, and I want her to send us the reason why she requested for a VIP lounge for those individuals. So you're saying kahit na regular passenger, basta ni-request yon, magbayad lang pwede?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So gusto ko pa rin malaman kung sino sila. Kasi bakit yung CESA natin mismo ang nakikipag-usap sa airport para bigyan sila ng VIP treatment. Nagbayad ba sila?
Ma'am, correction. Ma'am Perla is the secretary of CESA, but she reserved that for her friends lang. Friends lang po niya, and then according to her, the Chinese is just from Tuguegarao City only.
Alam mo, hindi maganda na meron tayong papangalanan pa ninyo ng Heroes Lounge. Sana, ilagay na lang ninyo, Pay Lounge. Di ba? Wag na ninyo sabihin VIP, VIP. There are no requirements pala as long as you just pay.
Madam Chair, for the information, the VIP launch before was just renamed to a Heroes Launch by the previous management for certain provisions that military officers who are recipients of the Medal of Valors and their dependents can avail of the VIP launch subject to availability and policies of the VIP launch.
Okay. But do you understand where Colonel Kerubin and companions are coming from?
Yes.
Nakalagay doon, Heroes Lounge. Tapos ang mga nandun, mga Chinese na bisita, okay, kahit naman Chinese sila, Japanese, Korean, okay lang naman yon. Pero nakalagay kasi Heroes Lounge. Malilito talaga. Kahit na yon. Ano ba naman, ilagay na lang ninyo ha. Huwag na kayong magbulahan dyan. Kasi subject to availability. Ang ating mga heroes, madalas, hindi nila kaya magbayad ng 500 pesos per hour for the convenience. Alisin na ninyo yung Heroes Lounge na, lagay nyo, Pay Lounge. O kaya, Heroes Lounge, lakihan nyo, subject to availability. But I find it really hypocritical. Nakakahiya. Tapos makita mo pa, we don't want really to be xenophobic on any nationality. But especially, it's like rubbing salt in the wound of somebody na yung medyo may contention tayo, sila pa yung may priority. Gusto ko pa rin makita yung listahan nun. Kung sino yung mga yon. Actually, I think nakikilala ko yung isa doon. Filipino eh. Di ba? Yung isa doon.
Madam Chair, we have the receipt and the names of those nationals.
Hindi ba pwede sila sanang nagsama doon sa isang kwarto? Hindi.
Our staff, and she's also here, accommodated or entertained them and even offered to a room sharing. And Colonel Kerubin, I think, nakailang beses po siya pasok, labas-pasok sa VIP launch namin. And then he's just very, very angry that cannot be pacified anymore. So she was
Okay.
offered, Madam Chair, she was offered a sharing and he even went inside together with his companion.
Okay. So, I mean, I understand. You just arrived, you were just, you assumed office. That was a policy before you.
Yes.
And that was named before you.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
just for clarity nga, lalagay nyo yung Heroes Lounge, tapos may ganun policy. Parang, it's very confusing. So, kung gusto ninyo, hatiin ninyo yon. Kung gusto ninyong kumita, kasi kailangan din naman ninyo for your upkeep, di ba? I'm not blaming you. I just want clarity kasi, syempre, we want to treat our soldiers, our military, accord them the courtesy. But we also, the reality is we have to entertain some guests subject to their payment. At hatiin na lang ninyo, ma'am. Gano'n na lang. Diba? I mean, this is just my suggestion. But I needed to raise it kasi even I was bothered by the news. And it's good that you clarified it. Ayun naman pala, in-entertain din naman pala
Yes,
ninyo.
ma'am.
And actually, kahit sa picture, nakita ko naman nakaupo naman siya.
Yes, ma'am.
Oo. Pero moving forward siguro, ma'am, pag-usapan ninyo pa paano ayusin yan. Okay? Sige. Thank you. Thank you for
Welcome.
attending. Babalik ka pa dun sa probinsya mo.
Yes po.
Okay. Senator Tolentino, thank you for patiently waiting, the chairman of our Blue Ribbon Committee.
Minor questions. Just some minor questions, Madam Chair. If I may be allowed? Yes, sir. Sino kaya? Secretary. Secretary, just some sundry friendly questions. From my notes here, 3 projects implemented by the DOTR at a cost of 7.460 billion have been found to be unutilized or underutilized due to issues on functionalities, which if not addressed would result in total wastage of government funds. Coming from COA recommendations. So, totoo po ba ito?
Yes.
Correct? Yes, yes or no lang? Para
Yes,
maka-break
yes,
na
sir.
kayo.
Yes, sir. Meron pong ganyang report ang COA.
Yes. So, I'm now zeroing in on BRT projects in Metro Manila and Cebu. Yung, if I can remember it correctly, yung MMDA pa ako, yung Metro Manila, ito yung Quezon Avenue dapat. And then BRT Cebu, matagal na na narinig ko si Senator Gatchalian yung pumunta sila saan ba kayo pumunta? Venezuela or Colombia? That's Curitiba. Curitiba. Saan ba kayo? Colombia or Brazil? Colombia. Not Colombia, New York. So the reason why I'm raising this, Madam Chair, is that I'm giving a heads up to the DOTR family. We recently approved on 3rd reading, and I think this will soon be signed into law. O kung napirmahan na, I've not been apprised, the PPP law, if you're aware of that. Under the new law, and I'll revert to the question again, there are leeways now given to LGUs to implement projects on their own without requiring ICC and even NEDA board approval. So threshold probably would be, if I'm not mistaken, 15 billion. Except there are requirements if it overlaps a project approved by a government authority or with a project being developed by another government entity based on national or sectoral development plans. This would raise confusion later on, especially if we look at this COA report regarding bus rapid BRT projects in Metro Manila and Cebu, and other projects likewise contained in that COA report. Kaya ko po sinasabi to, dahil dito sa bagong batas, meron ng ngipin ang mga LGUs with sound financial foundation to likewise have their own PPP. So kung 15 billion, itong sa inyo ay underutilized just 7.5 billion. So kayang gawin ito ni Cebu, kayang gawin ito ni Cavite, kayang gawin ito. They can group together under this new law, if signed into a law. But the question is, if DOTR continues with this project in your books, though unutilized, underutilized, unimplemented, it would prevent the LGUs from doing the same. Because under the law, if it physically overlaps with a project approved by a government authority, definitely it has been approved by a government entity because funded na, the LGU cannot do that. Nakapending sa inyo eh. So, policy questions, Madam Chair. Pwede ho kaya after 3 fiscal years na hindi nag-i-implement, mag-issue na lang kayo ng certification na the OTR will no longer proceed, then it will now open the gates for LGUs to proceed. Kesa sila hindi makagalaw dahil may pending kayo kasi nakalagay approved by the government entity or with a project being developed by another government entity. This will create a conflict of sorts. Diba? So, going back to this COA report, so we're now looking at the BRT Cebu, BRT Metro Manila, and then you have the New Manila Area Control Center. Ano po yung New Manila Area Control Center?
Your Honor, MACC is the old navigational.
So definitely hindi pwede sa LGU yon.
Yes.
So, heads up, perhaps in the days ahead, when this is signed by the President, the DOTR should likewise consider letting go of projects which it will no longer pursue to allow the LGUs to proceed.
Yes, yes, sir.
Di ba? Sayang naman eh. Sayang naman, kayang gawin ni Cebu yung BRT. Napakatagal na ho nito.
Actually,
So-
sir, yung BRT, we are now implementing it. The Cebu BRT, we did groundbreaking first quarter of 2023, and we're expecting to complete the first phase by December of this year, no, for the Cebu BRT.
So that will encompass Cebu City to Naga?
No,
Saan po
sir,
yan?
that's within Cebu only.
Within Cebu. So, with this, it will not prevent LGUs from interconnecting with that, siguro, Fuente Osmeña yon. So this will not conflict. So Mandaue, Lapu-Lapu can have their own BRT. Di ba ho? So siguro, Madam Chair, the reason why I'm raising this is pag-implement nito, dito na po yung question. Dito na yung question. And I also, I had lunch with Congressman Romualdo from Camiguin. Tomorrow is your budget hearing with the lower house. He's also giving a heads up that he'll be asking some questions concerning Marina. It has something to do with the missionary route, but without ships, dun sa Camiguin, which is supposed to be a tourist destination. So for the record, the Marina should likewise prepare for that. Last question, Madam Chair. Gutom na itong mga to. I'd like to thank, for the record, Colonel Tamayo of CAAP for acceding to the request of Zamboanga City to have their own navigational lights, of course, with the intercession of Secretary Bautista. But other airports are likewise calling. You have heard perhaps of Surigao or Butuan, yung naghahanap ng para magka-ilaw, and perhaps Isabela, Kawayan.
Through the chair, ma'am, if I may, next in line for next year will be Kawayan po. We have budgeted for that already para ma-nitrate na natin. As far as Zamboanga is concerned, as discussed po, kasi we had some issues before on the runway lights due to the flooding. May mga nasira ho doon sa electrical system, and we have repaired this already. But then we had a project on the improvement of the runway, reblocking ho yan eh. So we started with the first 1/3 of runway 09, that's approximately 300 meters o ginawa yan. And it's in its finishing stage already. Because of this project, hindi ho natin na-implement yung night capability niya. But since we went to Zamboanga, inspected it, and studied on how we can restore the night capability of Zamboanga. Nagawa na ho natin yan. We talked to the contractor. I-clear na ho lahat yung mga debris niya. And then some of the issues on the electrical, we are doing it now. And we expect to have this nitrated within the week. Within the week for one runway, yung 27 po. But the next part of the project will be yung opposite. We will again improve that.
Mr. With one runway, you can only take off, you cannot land?
No. It will be both, sir.
Yep.
Take off and landing. But pagka yung lumipat ho yung construction doon sa kabilang dulo, kailangan ho natin i-shorten na naman, but we will maintain the night rating kahit na may construction ongoing, but shortened runway. So that is what we worked on, and Within the week po, we'll nitrate again Zamboanga.
Gracias, Colonel. So I'll relay that to our friends in Zamboanga City. So going back to the 7.4 billion, Secretary, ano pong gagawin dito? Just return it to the National Treasury or still pursue with the projects supposed to be covered by this outlay?
Ma'am, sir, yung MACC, this is, Madam Chair, yung MCC, Senator Tolentino, it's a project that's almost completed, no? But it's an old system that we cannot choose anymore, no? There are still I think we owe the contractors certain amount of money, but they were not able to also complete the work, no? But it has been taken over by events because we already have this
Over
80 by events, no?
So we will
Because-
no longer pursue, but we will pay, gano'n?
Hindi ho. We're working with the contractor kasi we need to close this also, no? So the aviation sector is working with the contractor. It's a small amount of money claimed, no? And we'll settle
Suggest
it.
you seek the assistance of the Office of the Solicitor General
Yes, maliit
or
lang naman yung
OGCC. Oo.
Mhm.
So
Na-
dapat din siguro masagot ito yung COA findings.
Yes. Yung isa pang malaking finding, sir, is the Dalian train, no? Actually, the trains are already delivered to us. There are some technical issues that we need to resolve.
Compatibility with the,
Yes,
can
yes.
it be resolved?
Yes, and we need to work with the maintenance provider so that we can operate.
Minana nyo lang yan eh.
Minana namin yan, sir.
Minana nyo lang yan, kaya minana nyo rin yung sakit ng ulo.
Yes, yes.
Hindi nyo naman pwedeng ano yan, hindi nyo naman pwedeng iwasan yan.
Yung isa sa mga projects pa, sir, is the LTMS or the Land Transport Management System, no? It's being used now. There are some issues regarding payments, no? And we're working with the supplier so that we can resolve some of these issues. We also need to get NEDA approval, no? Reapproval of the project. But it's working, Madam Chair. No?
One last issue that probably I would like to raise. The new Cebu International Container Port, is this the one in Consolacion?
Yes. Yes, Your Honor. That's the
So,
one.
so Consolacion,
Yes, yes.
where I believe a new bridge would be constructed likewise?
I'm not sure. By DPW itself. Yes.
Okay. Wala. Madam Chair?
Yes,
I have
go ahead.
no other matters to pursue concerning DOTR. I'm very supportive of DOTR. Isang question na lang siguro kay Colonel Tamayo. Sino may capability na gumawa ng runway?
When it comes to runway po, yung kunyari from, if it is greenfield po, yung from the start, it's usually the OTR that takes over. Pagkabago po, no? Kami ho, is we do the maintenance of this, do the improvements. And ang ginagamit naman ho natin dyan are contractors as well.
If
We don't
it's,
have the-
if it's uncharted territory, somewhere out there, kayo yon. And you know what I mean?
Yes, yung initial study po, CAAP is involved. We do the survey, we do the aeronautical study.
And how fast can it be done?
Yung study po, we can do that in approximately 3 months.
3 months.
3 months.
Except if you will be harassed in doing the study. And you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So, Madam Chair, I think I have no other questions to pursue. I'd like to thank the DOTR family for being patient, and I'm very supportive of the budget of Department of Transportation. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Tolentino. I will act as chair for a while since the chair
stepped out. Anyway, picking up where I left off, last meeting kasi naputol ako. Just like to ask siguro si LTO, ASEC, Bigor, Mendoza.
Yes, yes.
Currently, may problema tayo sa license plates, no? For several decades already. So,
Yes, sir.
just want to know what is the steps being undertaken by LTO to solve this problem, yung backlog natin.
Opo.
I understand for motor vehicles, it's about 2 million. For motorcycles, even mga more than 9 million ba or something. Siguro yan yung muna kung ilan yung talagang total backlog natin.
Thank you, Mr. Senator. Sa motor plates po, sa motor vehicles po, ating backlog is 80,000 no talaga yan. Yung 1.8 million, ito po yung replacement plates, no? Involved from green to white.
So 80,000 lang yung talagang backlog.
80,000 lang po talaga.
So
sa
including
motor
the replacement, that's
vehicles. 1.880.
So almost 2 million.
Yes, sir.
Motor vehicles.
Motor vehicles po.
For motorcycles,
Nasa 13 million po tayo dyan.
13
Opo.
million.
Opo.
Medyo malaki pa, no?
Opo.
So ano po ang immediate plans natin? Because that will be very important not only especially for peace and order also, di ba?
Opo.
Na mahirap yung walang plate number eh.
Correct, sir.
Sige po, pwede na lang
Nakapag-order na po tayo ng over 15.9 million license plate po yan. At nakapag-deliver na po ang supplier ng almost 1 million plates. So we are just, meron nung tayong mga machines na under maintenance lang po ngayon, but we will already start full production po this coming month of October. At,
So are the license plates being manufactured here already? Hindi na to imported, no?
yung plaka po is imported, but
Imported
yung
pa rin.
embossing po ng plates and all
Yung pag-emboss, yeah.
dito po
Dito na, yan. Nakita ko po yun sa inyong head office, no?
Opo.
There are 2 machines, di ba? Tama.
Dalawang robot machines po yan, and then we have 9 ito yung semi-manual machines po yan.
What is the capacity per day?
Ang ating po is 42,000 plates per day po.
Okay, so 15.9 million yung order.
Opo.
1 million delivered already.
Yes, sir.
So how long do we expect that the backlogs will be solved?
Opo, itong ating problema is sa motorcycle, no?
Opo, medyo marami.
Hindi lang po yung delivery of the plates, pati po yung, as you said, yung ating production side, no? We anticipate it will take us a little over 2 years to finish the entire 13 million. But while we're doing that, Mr. Senator, makikater na ho natin yung mga current usage natin ng plates. So by sometime in October, pag nakabili po kayo ng motorsiklo, mabibigyan ho na natin ng plaka yan para hindi na madagdagan yung backlog. While we're also dedicating some machines to cover the backlog po. Right now, given our...
So anong bibigay? Parang virtual muna or something?
Hindi na po. By October po, for both for motor vehicle and for motorcycle, we will be able to deliver the plate immediately po.
Even yung 13 million po, that's about 2 years ang
2
yung
years
plano.
po ang ating naka-program. A little bit 2 years, 3 months po yan.
So what did you do? Ano bang problema dati? That was, do you think that itong bagong joint venture that DOTR went into yung contract with the Trojan Tones Venture, 3.898 billion.
Opo.
Tama po, no?
Opo, opo.
So their commitment is to deliver. Magkano po ang commitment nila? Every month or every year?
Opo, every other month to, roughly around 2 million plates po yan eh. Or on the average 1 million plates a month po yan. Until October 2024 po, they will complete the 15.9 million plates.
Well, that's good to hear. Pero siguro ang ano ko na lang, like as I suggested, since you are new, last year po, no, with Secretary Bautista here and si then LTO Director Tugade, kasi there is now an amendment to the motorcycle crime prevention law.
Yes.
Pending both in the Senate and in Congress.
Opo.
Since ang problema natin is the supply of plates, kung dalawa yung plaka ng motor, doble yung inyong, kung 15 million o 12 million, ilan ba yung backlog?
13 million po.
13 million, so
motorcycle.
times 2 yun, 26 million.
Kung dalawang plaka ho ang motor, yes sir.
Tama, ay decals na yung harap, no? There's a bill pending in Congress, amendment to the Motorcycle Crime Prevention Act, And while actually meron na tong commitment doon kay President Duterte noon eh. That that's why the implementation was suspended because there was a pending amendment and commitment kaya lang hindi natuloy. But now I think is it okay kung sana ituloy nyo na lang muna yung rear plates para lahat magkaplaka muna.
Yes, sir.
Importante kasi magkaplaka muna eh.
Yes,
So
sir.
Secretary kaysa
Yes, sir.
dalawa tapos kalahati lang ang mabibigyan natin. I think what
Yes,
is more important that all motorcycles, all vehicles will have their own plates already.
Correct, sir.
Now, while the amendment to the Motorcycle Crime Prevention Act is in process, hopefully in a year or two, ang ano kasi doon talagang rear plates na lang and RFID. Total, may RFID na tayo.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully, we can now pursue the putting up the command center, no? Para po yung pagbasa ng RFID easier on checkpoints, all that
Yes, sir.
information will be there. Di ba tama po yung
Tama po.
RFID is already being
Yes, sir.
installed, but it's useless without the readers, the scanners, and the command center.
Correct, sir.
So, yung pong Motorcycle Crime Prevention Act amendment, we will pursue putting up the command center and yung scanners para po yung RFID
Yes, sir.
magamit na. It will be for the convenience and of the motorists and at the same time for crime prevention as well. So kung pwede po, what do you think of the idea, Asek Vigor, na unahin na muna natin rear plates
Opo,
para
opo.
po
In
lahat
fact,
mabigyan?
yun talaga ho ang target namin na mabigyan ng plates muna lahat. Hinuhuli ho namin yung replacement plates. So,
Tama
may plaka na po yan. Tapos yung command center ho namin, 2 weeks ago, we already coordinated with HPG para mas lalo magamit yung command center na yon for crime prevention.
Yes, I think that we have to pursue this both
Yes, sir.
for at least for peace and order, crime prevention. It will be easier for the law enforcer, for the police, and the authorities to man the checkpoints at the same time. Anti-carnapping and ano na rin yun, ma-alert ka agad eh with the
Opo.
command center
Opo.
in place. I think that will be the solution, not the doble plaka. At least
Opo.
ayusin muna natin plaka. So thank you for that, Asik Vigor, for
Thank you po.
for accepting that idea. And I think that will be the direction that we have to really take
Thank you,
as
sir.
well. So in 2 years, no, matatapos na natin backlog, hopefully.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Pati sa motor vehicles, mas mabilis.
Mapapaaga po sa motor
Mapapaaga.
vehicles. Opo.
Well, thank you, Sec Bautista, for this has been almost a decade na problema. Lahat walang plate numbers eh. No, it's not only but really it's a crime. It's a peace and order issue. Mahirap yung 'di ba? Doon yung maginagamit yung sa krimen yung motorcycles and other vehicles pag walang plaka. Then anyway, to our favorite subjects natin, just to again show our commitment and support. Last year, yung railway budget natin was cut in half when the HGAB was forwarded to the Senate, and we restored it last year. Siyempre, maapektuhan yan yung right of way, other things other than yung technical, di ba? So just want to know this year magkano po yung budget natin in the proposed budget, and hopefully sa HGAB hindi na mabawasan. Yung Cesar, sige.
163 billion, Your Honor, for the railway sector. Of the
163 billion.
Of the 100.
Last year was about 70 plus, no? Tama. So this year it will be 163 billion.
Opo, of 163 billion, 10 billion is allotted for MRT3.
Okay.
And the remaining 153 billion is actually divided 90%, 92% of that is for MMSP and NSCR.
Mostly for NSCR to.
NSCR, yes. NSCR and Metro Manila Subway.
Metro Manila Subway. Kaya pala dumoble.
Yes,
Last
because
year was 70 lang, no?
because Your Honor, under the Marcos administration, the contracts for civil works for Manila to Calamba,
Full blast na.
except for packages 105, 108, and 109. Ito po yung from Kalayaan going to BGC to Loton, to Senate DepEd, to NAIA 3, because we have yet to procure the civil works.
Ilan na pong ano kaya? How many kilometers have we, ano na, yung nabor?
It's about, at the moment, it's 230 meters. So nasa Valenzuela ho tayo. What we expect, Senator, from Valenzuela to corner Mindanao Avenue and Quirino will be completed by December.
To Mindanao Avenue.
Aha. Tapos magsisimula na ho tayo, North Avenue going to Tandang Sora, early next year.
Now, the reason why I asked Sec Bautista, of course, yung 163 billion, I don't, gusto natin ma-retain yan or even kung madagdag, much better because it will definitely affect our schedules and we will be paying already, we are already paying the loan packages from ADB, no? Kung madedelay to, tayo mag-shoulder. Tama ho ba? Yun ang mangyayari. Kaya nga, so, yun ang dapat natin bantayan. Yung age gap that the 160 billion, yan po ang dapat natin bantayan. Last year, what was the utilization? Yeah, okay naman yung 70 billion natin. Anybody can answer? Jessica, Kim, Robert De Leon, of the 70 billion that was allotted for the railway projects.
Yes, Your Honor, for the overall utilization, actually, the disbursement rate, Your Honor, as of end June is at 61% of our obligation. In fact, Your Honor, for the rail sector, it accounts for 57.18%, or we were able to disburse already 45.7 billion pesos as of end July. And together with the rail sector, we've been fast-tracking our payments to our for our monthly progress billings, as well as intensifying our right-of-way and utility relocation to provide access for our contractors, Your Honor.
So, for the record, how many percent? Utilization.
As of July, Your Honor, around 57%.
57%. As of July.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, are you confident by December
Yes.
that all will be
Yes.
dispersed?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's good. Of course, that's yun yung ano natin dito eh. We just want to make sure that with the 163 billion that it will be fully utilized.
Yes, Your Honor, because these are actually monthly progress billings. So we progress every month, Your Honor.
Okay, so yun po yung ano namin, Sec Jimmy and yung Sec CFSR, you know that we are really supportive of this. We will make sure that it will not be slashed anymore again, or we will restore if not, if we can add us much better. Siguro doon na lang sa Clark, doon sa ating airport, how's the ano na? Siguro pwede yung tanong ng CAP. Director General Tamayo, how's our air traffic ngayon? Medyo, I think it's nag-improve slightly, no?
To the chair, yes, sir, the CNS ATM has, it's more reliable now. Napalitan na po natin yung cost ng failure niya. It is more of the power side. Na-upgrade na po natin yung mga UPS. The AVR has been repaired. We are just waiting for a new one to be delivered. Even yung mga radars natin, yung mga VSAT po natin, may redundancy na po. Napalitan na natin yung parts that were, what's this, damage.
So there's redundancy na.
Meron na
Actually,
po.
if one fails, there is another one, may sasalo.
Sa VSAT po. Ang ano na lang natin, ang pending
Yung
po
system
namin
mismo.
is, yes, it's a
This is the
system.
system itself, the redundancy
And then the
of the
ultimate,
CMS. Ano?
yeah, we need to get the ultimate fallback system as an interim.
Again, for the record, how much would it cost yung CMS natin, yung redundancy?
Ay, yung
Just in
redundancy
case.
po, yung EUFS, it is interim. It's about 200 million.
CNS.
However, for a new independent CNS ATM, it's anywhere from 13 to 15 billion po yan eh. And we are just reckoning based on the acquisition cost po ng existing. So maybe because of inflation.
So right now, we don't have a redundancy of the CNS ATM system.
Wala pa po yung
Pero is that,
ultimate.
pero kailangan talaga yun.
Kailangan po natin yan.
Teka, nakakalito eh. Kasi sinabi niya may redundancy na. But what do you mean? Like you qualify, so you have redundancy but then you don't. Ano ba talaga?
Ma'am, if I may, Kasi yung nag-fail natin was more on the power side last January 1. We have updated it, upgraded the components. So don't confident na kami that it will not fail.
Ano yung nag-fail nung umpisa? Power ano?
The power side, ma'am.
Power
supply.
side. Okay.
Yun ho yung may UPS, merong
AVR.
AVR, may mga circuit breakers, naayos na po natin yan. So we're confident that wala na hong mangyayari doon as far as that is concerned. Ang load side natin, yun ho yung equipment, this is the one that we are working on. Yung mabilis ho dyan is what they call the ultimate fallback system. This is different from the independent po na backup system. This is just a component na it's not so big, but it will keep the system operational temporarily. So this is about 200 million, and this is under negotiation now with not only Thales but other suppliers.
So siya parang it functions, Director Gel, as a parang backup talaga siya.
Backup
Hindi siya
po na
another
limited.
system.
Oo,
Yeah,
limited
hindi siya yung full system that is working at the same time.
And
That's
this
right,
is
that's right.
13 billion.
13 billion to 15 billion will be the new
The new
CNS
one.
ATM.
Kasi yung total budget ng DOTR is 214 billion, di ba? Okay.
Yung sa ano, how's the ano, yung traffic congestion natin, yung NAIA it's better, nag-improve na.
We are managing the traffic, ma'am. But sir, but talagang limited po ang kaya natin. Right now, as far as the commercial airlines are concerned, they're limited to still 40 movements per hour. Tapos yun hong we allocate the 2 movements per hour for government flights, VIP, emergencies, and so on. And then, kung minsan ho, lumalampas naman kami ng 42, we go 44, and so on. But it's manageable po as of this time. But as I said, ang problema po natin, it's not the air, but it's more of the infrastructure we have. The design of our runways and taxiways. Doon ho tayo nagkakaproblema.
Yeah. Well, that's ano already talagang limited. Parang 1.5 lang tayo eh. Lalo na kung mag-iba pa yung hangin, hindi magagamit yung domestic, yung 13 and 31 at the same time. So yung Clark did some flights was it already transferred to Clark? Di ba yung pre-pandemic kasi ginagamit din Clark eh. Nangihinaya po ako dito, Madam Chair, because we spent about 12 billion no for the new Clark International Terminal, which increased the passenger capacity from 2 million to 9 to 10 million a year. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic, medyo nag-slow down doon, nagbalikan sa Maynila, ayaw na nila bumalik nung una. But I just want to ask, were some flights of airlines, dapat tayo ang makulod dito eh. May mga nabalik na ba sa Clark?
Through the chair, yes, Your Honor. In fact, in last April, since last year, we've been engaging the local carriers to move some flights, and thankfully, they have responded positively. And last April, for example, in the case of Cebu Pacific, they've launched at least 12 flights locally and internationally
From Clark?
from Clark.
Well, that's good news.
And
Ang ano
so
kasi
has
doon,
PAL
ayos,
and-
no? Sorry to cut you, pero ang common complaint by using Clark, well, the airport, the terminal is really fabulous, very nice. Problema doon yung mobility. Yung going to Manila, going to other areas, parang isolated, ang layo daw. Meron pa ba tayong point-to-point service or what do you plan to, does the OTR plan to do with the, yung mobility?
Yes, through the chair. Yes, Your Honor. We've talked with the private concessionaire and also with CDC. CDC, the Clark Development Corporation, has its own initiative to provide more land transport connectivity within Clark, and also connectivity between Clark and other points in the provinces in Manila. Insofar as Lipad is concerned, they are quite conscious that access to the airport needs to be improved with more bus and public transport connectivity. In addition, we have also engaged Lipad to provide remote check-ins, not only in the SM Clark, but also in the SM North Triangle, so that more access for passengers coming from Quezon City is available, Your Honor. Thank you.
Well, that's good to hear. I hope that we can do something about this. Sayang eh. So that we can also spread out the flights. Hindi, alam naman natin, very limited ang slots na pwede sa NAIA. If you can transfer na while waiting for the NSCR to be online, siguro yung mga buses, point-to-point, shuttle, marami naman pwede siguro gawin dyan so that you can make use of the Clark International Airport.
Pero meron kayong point-to-point na mga service buses? Meron ba?
Yeah, yes, Your Honor. There are already this connectivity between Clark and Manila.
How many passengers again for Clark per year? You can.
The numbers are still recovering, Your Honor. I would
But
say.
what's the capacity?
The capacity right now, the terminal is built for 8 million, but the fit out for the moment is 4 million. The fit out. Because the number of passengers per year is less than 4 million. They are hitting only about 2 million per annum.
So 8 million yung capacity per
Yes,
year.
what was built is for 8 million.
How about in NAIA? Ano yung capacity?
Right now, it's built for 32 million.
But then we get how many?
The highest was about 48.7 in 2019. This year, we are projected to hit 45 is the projected passenger throughput for this year.
Well, siguro yung point-to-point kasi, Madam Chair, there's a service already sa Clark to Manila. So I guess yung sa airport na lang, going to the terminals of the point-to-point, I think that's what we have to fix yung connectivity.
Yes.
Yan sana pong ayusin. So that we can make use of that. Sayang naman.
I agree, sir.
It's a 12 billion peso facility. Sayang naman yung gastos natin if we do not make use of it. It's a very, very beautiful terminal.
Yes.
It's
yes.
almost same as Cebu. Kasing ganda na Cebu po yan. Di ba, Sec Jimmy? I hope that he can do something about it and make use of it while we await for the NSCR to be online.
Actually, how much did we spend for the Clark Airport? 12 billion. Hindi ba partnership ito with?
Yes, Your Honor, it is PPP. But before the PPP, there was a DOTR funding to develop the air side in preparation for just the improvement of Clark Airport, no?
So we spent 12 billion already.
Yes, around that amount
So
amount
what do
was
you mean by
spent.
air side? The runway?
The apron and some other civil works had already been done.
Actually, the budget there, Madam Chair, because I defended that, came from BCDA for the terminal, new terminal. So yung
For the terminal, it came
Yes.
from the BCD.
for the DOTR, yan yung mga apron, the air traffic management, all the others. So, pero sayang eh, that's still 12 billion of that I hope we can make use of it. Sec
Actually,
Jimmy.
sir, we are encouraging the local carriers to operate out of Clark. No? We have asked Philippine Airlines, Cebu Pacific, and AirAsia to increase their flights out of Clark.
And also, I think you had recently negotiations with some Gulf state airlines, and you increased the flights of Emirates.
Yes, Sean.
Did they agree to continue to fly to certain airports? Like
Yes, Your Honor. They agreed to continue flying to Cebu. They committed to fly to Cebu at least for the next 3 years.
okay, how about Clark? Wala.
They are operating.
They're also operating. Okay, that's good news kasi I understand the explanation also that we want to cooperate with the ASEAN airlines so that they can bring in more tourists, as Mr. Arcilia ably explained to me the importance of what do you call this? Mutual benefits, di ba? But then also there are a lot of OFWs that fly to the Gulf states that have less choices when it comes to the cost of the airfare. And then us also, that others that fly to Europe have no choice but to take also those Gulf airlines. So thank you, Mr. Arcilia, for explaining that to me. The reciprocity is what I mean. Yeah, that's the word that I'm looking for. Kasi yung Senator JV, like for example with Thailand. Oh, sir, kayo na lang mag-explain. Diba? I'll give you the floor now. Explain na sa panel the importance of tourism.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Your Honors. The one of the pillars of our economic strategy is to promote tourism, and we also realize that markets are not created equal in the sense that there are airlines that make the Philippines as a spoke in their hub. And when we observe the flow of traffic, we realize that the flow of traffic is more of outbound Filipinos. And so our tourism numbers from Europe is a little bit well behind our ASEAN counterparts. And so with the EU ASEAN Comprehensive Air Transport Agreement, we call it Open Skies, that allows for fifth freedom in the ASEAN region and also to all the members of the ASEAN. There would be seamless traffic now from Europe, although because we do not have direct operators from Europe right now, and so we're even behind Cambodia in terms of European arrivals. Vietnam has overtaken us by leaps and bounds. And so with this EU ASEAN Air Transport Agreement, Open Skies, then we look forward to complementing Thai Airways, for example, so that a European traveler can go to Bangkok and include Philippines, Manila, Cebu as part of the cluster of itineraries that they would go to. And these arrangements are now in place, spearheaded by the Department of Tourism. And the bulk of our tourists actually right now are coming from Asia, maybe 62% of them. But our tourism from Europe is quite anemic. It has not been really moving for maybe a couple of decades already, ma'am. And so connectivity is really essential. It is the pillar of not only tourism, but trade. In fact, about 54% of our trade in terms of value is now carried by air services. So what we need is a broad network in terms of options, which we are developing through our air negotiations.
But
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair, siguro, Sir Arcilia, we really have to make it more convenient kasi talagang hassle eh. No, if you compared to other countries, seamless yun lang. Kaya that's what we have to work on. Again, while we are waiting for the subway, north-south commuter line to link everything up, maglagay muna tayo ng mga shuttle, point to point, and others to make it more convenient. Tourists want it more convenient, even for businesses as well. Siguro before we end, Madam Chair, siguro tanong ko lang tama po ba yung mga Qatar and Emirates, yung itong mga Arab-based airlines, cheaper ang rates pag galing sa Clark? Am I correct? Tama po, di ba?
Yes, sir, Your Honors. Kasi meron
That is why, sayang eh. This is Madam Chair, low-hanging fruit. Mas mura ang rates if you use Clark, mag-Qatar kayo, or Emirates, going to UAE. So, sayang eh. Pag magagamit natin to with that, I think it's a good come-on. Kailangan lang natin maayos yung connectivity. Sayang eh, because it's there. So yun, Madam Chair, sayang yung yung opportunity niyon, no? But siguro yung natanong na po yung Madam Chair tungkol sa Coast Guard, no, yung wish list. Admiral Abu, you have already submitted, so we'll just review it. And be rest assured that we will support the way the Senate supports the AFP modernization. It was also cut in half last year by the HGAP. Ni-restore namin, dinagdagan pa namin, Madam Chair, no? We added 2 billion more than what in the restored. So yung sa Coast Guard, be rest assured that I want to see also yung mga wish list, no? Kung siguro yung sa intelligence fund na lang, nakakaawa kayo kasi parang yung confidential intelligence fund nyo was 17 million for ilang years yun. Tama ba yun? Am I correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Eh, kayo kailangan eh. Kasi ang kailangan nila, Madam Chair, ng Coast Guard, hindi lang assets ang babayaran nito, hindi lang tao eh. We need surveillance, we need reconnaissance this time because of our problem with the West Philippine Sea. Hindi lang, kumbaga sophisticated tayo, hindi lang asset. We need reconnaissance and surveillance this time. So kung ano po yung makailangan nyo, Admiral, be rest assured that we will support. And kailangan yung both, what does it need siguro before I end to have that minimum defense posture at least for the Coast Guard? Mga ilan, hindi naman natin kaya labanan ng China eh, definitely. But yung credible and respectable, yung para hindi tayo binubuli-buli.
Madam Chair, earlier on we have discussed this in length. Sinabit po namin yung sinabi namin na sa 15 regional offices, kung kaya natin magkaroon ng dalawang malaking barko, we will be happy to have it. This is just a modest computation. Thank you, Madam
Thank
Chair.
you, Madam Chair.
Meron sa Senator JB, Madam Chair, meron silang, magkano yan? Yung kanya sabi mo, 90 million? 90 billion?
90 billion. Sir,
90
pwede naman sir
billion.
yung multi-year.
90 billion. Multi-year?
Multi-year, sir.
Hindi naman talaga kaya yan. Isahin. Multi-year. Yun lang, Madam Chair.
I'd like to thank our Vice Chair of the Committee on Public Services for your very expert questions. Alam mo lahat ng mga different agencies under DOTR. So thank you, sir. Ilock na ninyo yung pinto para wala nang pumasok dito na. No, si Senator Bato na lang may tatanong.
Isa lang ito, Madam Chair. Wala ko. Complying lang ako sa aking mga kababayan, sir. Pero akong later galing from the Davao Regional Development Council ng Davao. This is about their Davao Public Transport Modernization Project, DTMP, or the High Priority Bus System. Nakalagay doon sa NEP ngayon is 1 billion yung kanilang yung counterpart coming from you. Baka pwede daw madagdagan. Isa paabot ko lang. Yung request nga 5 daw 5. Kung pwede lang. Basta pinarating ko lang. Do not shoot me because I'm only the messenger.
Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Actually, Your Honor, for the Davao Public Transport Modernization Program, the amount earmarked in the NEP is the GOP counterpart. Usually, this is for the right-of-way and tax assumption po. But there will be a bigger amount intended for the loan proceeds, which upon award po, we will be working with the DBM so that we can access, including the unprogrammed appropriation. So this will be far bigger than 1 billion, Your Honor, because this will include loan proceeds because this is supported by the ADB.
Salamat salamat. So, yun na, Madam Chair. Salamat. Very parochial yun, pero...
Yeah, no, but that actually will serve our countrymen. So,
Yeah,
at
hindi naman
least
para sa atin yun, di ba?
Oh.
Para naman sa mga taong bayan natin yun. Yeah.
Una nga, at least may commitment ka, pero uutang tayo para doon, ganon. Oo, ADB funded. So, okay. Better adjourn na. Okay. So with that, wait, let me just check if I have anything else here for pending. Wala na. So with that, with our committee hearings, the budget of the Department of Transportation and its attached agency is deemed submitted. Hindi approved, ha? Submitted. Okay. Okay, approved. Hindi pa pwede pa natin palitan. Pwede ba?